welcome back to our Origins Summer Preview 2015. I'm here with Rick from Eagle Gryphon Games, and we are taking a look at Glenn Drover's Empire's Age of Discovery, which, as you can see, there is a lot going on here. There's a lot of components here. So
it's an empire.
It is. This is my domain here. Rick, give us a tour of what's going on. Tell us what's happening.
I'm going to make the assumption right away that most everybody listening to this podcast has played this game, so I'm not going to talk about rules at all.
Okay.
When we put this game together the second time, we put it together to be a deluxe version, and we made a big deal of that. Mm-hmm. I get questions throughout here to begin with. So what's different? What'd you do? What's the second edition? Well, how is that different than the first edition? And let's just start with the box. That's a pretty basic thing. Those of you who are familiar with the older game might recognize the box is a tad bit bigger. As in, this panel here was 3 inches on the other box. It's 5.5 on this box. This is one of those sturdy boxes. It's about 6 millimeters thick. Your standard box is less than half that. This is the kind of thing where you can, oh no, I wouldn't do that.
Not here, but outtakes, we'll do it in the outtakes.
Definitely something you don't want to do with your friends, but you can get away with it with others.
Hey.
Yeah, there you go. So the box is big.
All right.
What's inside the box? What justifies the big box besides just making it expensive? Inside the box, you've got a custom fitted and covered insert. Why this big? Altogether, there are 9 different sets. We'll show you those in a few minutes. 9 different sets of plastics, and each one fits in its own cubby hole. I don't know if you can see that close enough, but there it is. And altogether, there are 10 cubby holes of that size to fit the 9 different trucks. Over here we are. We got, that's
we'll get both.
Okay.
We'll get both.
You're the close guy. You're the, okay, got it.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, so there's that. There's a lower section here of this particular cubby hole. That'll house the smaller trade goods, and then the upper will house the bigger tiles.
Right.
There's a slot for money, and we'll get to money in a second.
And again, these are real thick too. These are nice thick tiles.
Absolutely. Nothing was done small. We've put our little cut holes in here to make it easier to get the box top and bottom separated. Keep doing that. It's helpful. and
over there.
And then we keep on moving.
At me over there.
Yeah, and these will fit in there too. And these are.
And bring it over
why
here.
not? Love. There you go.
There.
There's some love. So these are the real deal. They're really a nice metal. People ask whether or not they stack. They stack. They stack as high as you feel comfortable stacking. They're heavy.
They are very nice. They're just chunky.
They add a considerable amount of weight to the shipping and the cost too.
All right.
All of that is included in a handy-dandy 20-page rule book, which didn't used to be a handy-dandy 20-page rule book. It was more like 6 to 8 smaller pages, and there were a few things that never were clear. They got asked in FAQs and answered in FAQs as time went on, and they got all incorporated into this with a lot of pictures, diagrams, etc. So I think you'll find this very user-friendly and a definite upgrade.
Good. Let's come back over here so you can talk about the boards.
Okay, we can talk about the boards for sure. There was probably more controversy about us changing the board. The board had a lot of popularity. It was this basic board here.
Right.
One of the cardinal rules from our point of view when we do games is to take function over form. We can make a lot of things beautiful. It doesn't mean that the game then plays beautifully. So we have decided in this case, and where we have that choice to clearly make, we've decided to favor functionality over form, and that's what we have here. There was concern that the board was too dark. I think you can probably see in the wonderful camera lens that we have here that the board's anything but too dark. Clearly differentiated, plenty of space for all of the various pieces, and when this board is loaded up, you can imagine all these things are going to be on the board. There's lots of color, lots of brightness. And to make it that much more deluxe, we've added the back side of the board. So the back of this is this, the back of this is this, and this is a completely separate game. It's a variant. The rules are the same, but they're played with 2 different sets of pieces by and large. You need a completely different set of pieces to play this variant.
Yeah, and it has a very clean look for sure, as you were saying. I think it's it's a stark looking game and nice and clear. You can easily tell where something ends, something begins. So I think we're on the same wavelength there. I have to agree with you. Good. And down there, we're looking at the player boards. Is that what that is?
This is an innovation with player boards. We never used to have them.
Right.
There are 9 different countries. You can play as many as 6 at the same time.
Okay.
So you can choose between the countries. Each individual country has a separate and distinct national power or a national advantage. And that's covered in the upper left-hand corner of each player board. In addition, it shows you in the lower left-hand corner the aggregation of colonists or specialists that you're able to use on that upcoming turn. Altogether, you have the 7 or 9 turns.
Right. Now, is that a variant that you may play with, or is that supposed to be included in the rules right away?
Yeah, in fact, I'm confusing 2 games. What I just described was Clockwork Wars, where you have the choice between 7 and 9. This game is 8. They're similar in that they have 3 scoring rounds and then
8 rounds, as we see at the bottom there of the track.
That's it.
Right.
So this one's predetermined as 8.
Right.
There isn't a shortcut.
So the player powers, you can choose to play with those or play the old style. Right?
Yeah, and in fact, another thing that's incorporated into this, and I know you're familiar with it, we did a builder's expansion that was separate from this game.
Right, the tiles, new tiles.
It's included, all those purple figures, and there are builders. The builders are included, but they're an option. So when you go through this rule book, you will always be able to separate out, they're identified, the rules that are peculiar to the builder rules, and if you want not to play with those, you simply don't play with it.
Great.
Nice and easy differentiation.
You can play the base game again if you get this. You can throw in player powers. You can throw in the builders. You have a whole new map.
Yes. You've got 2 ways to keep score. People were upset that there was no score track. There used to be one around the board.
That's right.
We wanted to use the board more effectively and not knock them over when you were using it.
That's right.
We gave you a score track, but we also gave you a very detailed score pad that scores after each round. So you have both, and you can use both simultaneously. People were concerned that you had to read the board to read the individual powers. They're all here summarized on 3 different reference cards. It's a how to play, the sequence of the game, what you do, all on those. That's an innovation as well. And finally, the pieces themselves are a better molded plastic than they used to be. They're a harder plastic than they used to be, and they have far more detail in the molds than they used to. The ones that are hard to separate, we put square bottoms, and others we put round bottoms to better differentiate between the figures. Okay.
All right, well, it all sounds real good, Rick. Clearly a very well-regarded game, one that I'm a big fan of, actually. Beautiful production here. Empire's Age of Discovery. Rick, thank you for showing this off.
And it's on the ship. It's actually finishing up its packing stage right now. It'll be on the ship from China. This is June 4th. And we're told it's going to be on the ship June 10th. So 6 days from now, we expect it to be shipped. Sometime in mid-June, we expect it, mid-July, we expect it to arrive.
All right, that sounds good. Appreciate the overview. And thank you, folks, for tuning in. We'll see you.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.